Okay, first up we have Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. By the way, welcome back to MMA Al Dente, your home for all that MMA Al Dente horseshit. My prediction for this fight is Veronica Hardy wins, and I'm going to go with her winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is she's been active, she's been looking really good, she's younger. I think she's the better athlete, and I think she's sharper everywhere, frankly. I think she's more skilled on the feet and on the ground. She's been overwhelmed by more physical girls in the past and really physically imposing girls up at bantamweight. Fucking Ashley Evans Smith with her fucking tattoos. But I think Veronica Hardy here is not going to be overwhelmed. I think she's going to be able to manage her cardio fine for 15 minutes, and I think her skills are going to be there for her everywhere. I think she's more dangerous on the ground, but specifically off her back. And I think, of course, she can hit takedowns herself and win on top. And on the feet, I think she's going to be too fast for Brogan Walker, who should be Brogan Walker Sanchez, I believe. Brogan Walker, she hasn't been around for over 2 years now. She lost to Yasmin Lucindo, and that's obviously not a bad loss. Before that, she lost in the Ultimate Fighter a year earlier to Juliana Miller, who was able to TKO her in round three. That was a really tough loss. And of course, that's the only time she's been finished. But yeah, that was for all the marbles. And she had good momentum. Again, she won two fights, the semifinals and quarterfinals in that tournament. But in general, professionally, I'd say she peaked with her win over Miranda Maverick, which is actually back in 2018. Miranda's actually obviously grown since then. Her losses are all forgivable. Brogan to Yasmin, Juliana, and then Erin Blanchfield and Pearl Gonzalez over in Invicta, UFC fighters and a UFC contender in Blanchfield. So it's not like she's ever been steamrolled by anybody. And on the UFC levels game, it's not like you can knock her down too far, but she's below Veronica Hardy. And technically, again, I think she's just overmatched here. I'd be surprised if she was able to win, but if she was, I think it'd be pinning Veronica Hardy and slowing her down for the majority of the fight, but not advancing on her and not closing the show. Finishing upside, I'd say, is all with Veronica Hardy, especially considering the circumstances. But my pick is decision. As for the bet, it does not exist. She's minus 650 right now. Wow. Uh, Maybe I'll play Brogan Walker by decision. I'm that big of a degenerate. And maybe I'll go reaching for some late props on Veronica Hardy's side. But in general, with anything substantial, I'm staying away from this. But yeah, Veronica Hardy is the pick by decision for the 15th fucking time. Next up, we have Ramiz Brahimaj taking on Austin Vanderford. My prediction here is Austin Vanderford wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I think he's the better wrestler. And even though he's got to watch out for Ramiz Brahimaj's overall danger, his submission skills first and foremost, but also his striking, mainly because Austin Vanderford, I've got some doubts in him, which I will express in a minute. But in general, I think this is a grindy, grimy, grappling heavy fight. And I've got Austin Vanderford getting the better of that with top position and grappling. He's a really good grappler, and he can handle himself on the feet, but he's just, I don't know, I didn't like the way he looked in his two losses, which, yeah, I may as well fucking address him now. It's been about a minute, right? He lost to Gegard Mousasi and Austin Vanderford. Both fights were in 85 seconds. I don't know why that's relevant, but that's interesting. And both guys just caught him cold early, and he looked vulnerable. I know those are two very dangerous guys, two of the better middleweights, not in the UFC. Of course, Mousasi had a lifetime in the UFC. But Aaron Jeffrey's fucking awesome. Don't think he's not on my radar, and I don't respect the fuck out of him. But yeah, those are still tough losses when you watch him take the punches, just sitting there waiting for the one against Jeffrey. And against Mousasi, I think he might have been a little overwhelmed. I don't know if there's some psychology involved. But overall, there's just doubt. I don't know how to explain it, but I explained I explained to myself the doubt in Andre Petrosky last week. There's just doubt. I don't know. You see what happened against this guy and that guy, and yeah, he got knocked out in probably 85 seconds. But Austin Vanderford, he's fighting a guy in Rami's Brahimaj. He's only ever knocked out one person, and it's Mickey Gall. But that's mainly because he's such a dangerous submission artist. And here, the submissions are going to be there. They're going to be dangerous. He's much more of a rear naked choke guy, and of course, you got to get the wrestlers back in the first place to have a shot at that. But we've seen guillotines at guillotine over Billy Goff, and I'm sure he's preparing attacks for Austin Vanderford here. But he's really dangerous if he gets a hold of your neck from any angle. And I think a finish is the only path to victory for Rami's Brahimaj. Austin Vanderford's never lost a decision, but Rami's Brahimaj, and I believe Rami's Brahimaj's never won a decision. He's all submissions and one knockout. But Rami's Brahimaj, he's definitely got his back against the wall here, points wise, because he's fighting a superior wrestler. So he'd have to hurt him multiple times to win a decision. I think it's submission first, knockout second, decision last, far and away. But the pick is Austin Vanderford. I'd say his only path to victory is decision, even though he got a nice finish over Nikolai Veretennikov. But I haven't seen the odds for that, so I don't know if I'll play it. Right now, I'm staying away from it, and I'm tempted to bet on Rami's Brahimaj. And even for that, I'll wait for the finish props. Next up, we have Nikolai Veretetnikov taking on Punahale Soriano. My prediction here, Punahale Soriano wins. And I'm going to go with him winning by TKO. And I'll take that happening in round two. I think Punahale Soriano's looked great since dropping down to welterweight, if that's even what happened. I think that's what happened. And he's got a great decision victory, one of the best, most dominant decision victories in the last year or so, and one of the quickest knockout victories over Uros Medic, Miguel Baeza and Uros Medic. And he's looked fantastic, especially in that decision win over Baeza. Here he is fighting a bigger man in Nikolai Veretetnikov, and I do think that could give him a little trouble. But in general, I think Punahale Soriano is much more of a formidable wrestler at welterweight, and I think for Punahale Soriano, his power is going to be the difference in his fights. And here, I think his power is going to be the difference. I think he's got the better shot at getting a knockout, even though Nikolai Veretennikov is tough to knock out. And I also think he's got the bigger moments going his way as well, Punahale Soriano. So I like him to win. A decision wouldn't surprise me, but he's pretty fucking heavy-handed. So I'll go with some sort of a TKO. Although it's not like he's got the control of Austin Vanderford on the ground, who was the last guy to TKO Veretetnikov. But Veretetnikov had a wild fight against Francisco Prado a few months ago. That was back in July, not too long ago. He won by split decision. That was a really tight fight, a fucking wild fight. But a good bounce back fight. He ended up getting the win that kept him in the UFC because he was coming off of two losses before that to Austin Vanderford, as I mentioned, and Danny Barlow, another tight fight. And his only other loss before that in the last 10 years or so has been to Michael Morales. And he was able to stand tall and fight to a decision against that guy. But Punahale Soriano is at next level danger, and I love the way he's looked at welterweight. He's a guy who seems to be putting his skills together. That win over Baeza was really clean. I'd love to see him mix it up with wrestling, but he's got to get past the first 30 seconds without knocking the guy out first. But in general, I favor Punahale. He's a guy who's had some tough fights. His losses are all in the UFC. Dustin Stoltzfus, Brendan Allen, Nick Maximov, and Roman Kopylov. I'm still not sure how to say Maximov's name. Why couldn't it just be Maximov? But whatever. Either way, Punahale is the pick, and I have not bet on Punahale Soriano either. He's minus 250. I'm kind of sitting back, waiting for the props. Doubt I'll do anything serious with this one. Okay, next up we have Patchy Mix making his return to the UFC to take on UFC newcomer Jakub Wiklacz. And I say that name with no confidence, even less confidence than my predictions. But my prediction here is Patchy Mix wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by submission in round two. And the basis for the prediction is, even though he looked like complete dog shit, I still have a lot of faith in Patchy Mix's skills, especially his grappling skills, which we did not get to see. He's an incredible grappler with incredible control and even more incredible submission skills. The thing is here, Jakub Wiklacz, the newcomer here. He's an excellent submission artist himself. Really good grappler, really fun, and he's got an excellent guillotine himself. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if he turned out to be a bad matchup in some way for Patchy Mix. But I have to take Patchy to be a bad matchup for him because Patchy's got the deeper resume. They both have pretty records. Patchy's is a little prettier, but Patchy's definitely got the deeper resume. He's beaten champions and challengers and excellent fighters in the Bellator realm, and I just trust him more. Jakub Wiklacz, he's got a pretty record, 16-3. A third of his fights or so are against the same guy, this really tough guy, Sebastian Przybizbiz, who's a really good fucking fighter. But still, he's got a pretty record. His three losses, let me go to them first. He's got a TKO loss to Sebastian Przybizbiz. That was in their second fight in a series of five. He was TKO'd with body shots in round three. Then he lost to this guy, Davushkashka Astamirov, in 2017 by TKO in round two. That was ground and pound, positional shit, and it was after he had fatigued himself with some good submission attempts. But that guy went through him, shucked him off, advanced a mount, back mount, and pounded him out. And he lost by heel hook. He did get submitted once to this guy, David Grauka. Dawid. I don't know. Either way, a heel hook's a heel hook. It happened in a minute. Could happen to anybody. But I'm picking Patchy Mix to win with something other than a heel hook here. I think these two get grappling, and I know those are the instincts of both men. It's going to be a fun fight and a dangerous fight. Wouldn't surprise me if each guy had the other in some close submissions, but I think Patchy's got the better submissions. I think he'll be able to put the finishing touch on him with his long arms and secure guillotines and whatever, and I've got him winning that battle. Jakub, he's got 16 wins, 10 of them by submission, 6 by decision. So he doesn't even have one TKO, even by some fluke circumstances or a positional thing or whatever. His instinct is to go for the subs. And it's because it's his best chance of closing the show. He's aware of his own submission prowess, and it's pretty fucking high. And he had 5 of those fights with that guy, Sebastian. He ended up getting him out of there with the last one with a guillotine choke in round 2. And that guy did not tap. That guy, Sebastian's a really good fighter. But he also put that guy in like a dozen other guillotine chokes throughout their 5 fights, all 5 of which are on YouTube. And you get to see he's got plenty of faith in those subs. And look, even in the 5th fight, where if I was coaching him, I'd be saying, this guy is not subbable. Abandon it. Focus on position. And he jumped the guillotine, I believe, in the 5th fight and ended up securing it. But again, the guy is tough as fuck and would not tap. But yeah, his resume itself is not nearly as pretty as Patchy Mix's, who's got wins over Sergio Pettis and Kyoji Horiguchi and fucking James Gallagher and Magomed Magomedov once and a half times. His last fight with Magomed Magomedov was pretty close, a 5-round split decision. But that's the thing. Patchy Mix, he's never been finished. The worst he's ever looked is against Mario Batista, and I hope he never looks that badly again. I don't think he's going to be up against the same athletic problem here against Jakub Wiklacz, where he's going to be a step and a half behind, chasing him like a zombie. And his other loss was to Juan Archuleta years ago, and that was a close enough fight where he did kind of, he definitely lost the decision, but he won 1.5 rounds. And Juan's a good fighter who I believe is coming to the UFC soon, even though his best years may not be ahead of him. But yeah, Patchy needs some momentum here after that disastrous debut, and even before that, despite it being a championship win, that win over Magomedov in the rematch wasn't the greatest Patchy mix win and wasn't the most legitimate win. But he's got 13 subs in his 20 victories. He gets him down the stretch if he needs to, if he can't close the show early. And I think here he's going to be the more dangerous guy. And when this fight gets a little grimy, Patchy Mix is going to walk away with a submission. I have not committed to betting on him yet. He's minus 278. Under 2.5 rounds, plus 130. I'd consider that, but I'm going to wait for everything again before I make my play. I think a submission is something I'll be looking for. But no doubt, Patchy is the play. Patchy is the pick. And I hope it's a really good submission battle. Next up, we have Macy Chiasson versus Yana Santos. My prediction here is Macy Chiasson wins, and I'm going to go with her winning by decision. I do think this is a close matchup. I think Yana's very much in the realm of winning it, but I think Yana's only path to victory is decision, where she could potentially slow things down by getting inside and trying to pin Macy against the cage or on the ground. But I think Macy's a big, tall girl, has got leverage on her side. So if Yana gets stuck pushing Macy into the clinch against the cage, that could work against her. Macy's also pretty damn dangerous. And Yana, I think, is also faster on the outside. She's a better outside striker. She's sharp and she can keep it up for 15 minutes, no doubt. But Macy's also 7 feet tall, and her height can haunt Yana in that regard as well. And I do think Macy can get on top of Yana. I talk about Yana getting inside and slowing down Macy. Macy can get on top of Yana as well. And I think if she does, she's much more dangerous. I think Yana would be relegating to try to control Macy, whereas Macy Chiasson would be inflicting more serious damage and trying to advance and close the show with a submission. And that's why typically I'd be inclined to play Yana Santos's point spread here with most other types of matchups. But I've never forgotten how dangerous Macy Chiasson is since the Ultimate Fighter days where she knocked out Larissa Pacheco. And she showed that coming into the UFC, and she showed it recently again. But in general, most of her fights probably in the UFC have gone the distance. So my official prediction is she wins by decision, but that's not something I'm looking to bet on. I bet on her money line because, again, I wouldn't be able to commit to a prop, but I expect the finished props to be juicy, and I might go reaching for them. And for Yana, like I said, maybe I'll wait for her decision line as some sort of hedge. I consider that her only path to victory, but I think that's going to be pretty obvious and not worth betting on. So Macy is the play, and Macy is the pick. Up next, we have Daniel Santos taking on Ju Sang Yu. My prediction for this fight is Daniel Santos wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And I'm neither confident in that prediction nor the method of victory. So I probably should just go with the underdog, but my prediction is the favorite wins. I do favor Daniel Santos. And the basis for the prediction is his resume. Yeah, you can always lean on the resume. He is the guy with losses, but they're 2 tough losses, both decisions. And he's also got a few wins that are more valuable than anything on the resume of Ju Sang Yu. Although I don't know if they're as pretty as his knockout over Jaka Saragi. Probably nothing as good as that. But I still have a lot of faith in Daniel Santos after his rough and tumble comeback win over John Castaneda. That was a really impressive victory. Castaneda's a guy who's got good cardio as well, but Daniel Santos took it from him and then gave it to him and was able to close the show and knock him out in round 2. Since then, he's got 2 good decision victories over Johnny Munoz Jr. and Jiang Young Lee. That was earlier this year over Jiang Young Lee. And his forgivable losses that I mentioned are to Merab Kalimov outside the UFC, a 3-round decision in 2019, and then Julio Arce in his UFC debut in 2022. I don't know if he took that fight on short notice, but he was outlasted. He had some good attacks, but Julio Arce was cleaner, and with his fundamental striking, he got the better of Daniel Santos and really frustrated him. Ju Sang Yu, he doesn't have one loss. There's no major strike against him, no minor strike against him. Nothing but speculation, and there's no real reason to doubt him. But again, it's all about their resumes, and I've got a lot more faith in the resume of Daniel Santos. And he's also displayed a bunch of great traits, and I think he's just got a little bit more of my trust. Ju Sang Yu, yeah, he's got that beautiful knockout over Jake Saragi and a bunch of other knockouts that are pretty quick early destructions. But he's also been the distance plenty of times, which is a good look for a young fighter, even though he's a year older than Daniel Santos, I believe. But he's still got a good amount of experience here, going the distance. But still, he's not the most tested guy. And certainly that beautiful knockout didn't tell us much more about Ju Sang Yu with his traits, aside from fucking natural power. So here, I think he gets into a dogfight. I don't think he's able to get Daniel Santos out, certainly not easily. And I think it turns into a dogfight, and Daniel Santos is more accustomed to shittiness, and he's the one who thrives. So Daniel is the pick, but he is not the bet. Again, I'm a dickless coward, and I'm sitting this one out. I'll wait for the props and maybe go reaching for something. Next up, we've got Farid Basharat taking on Chris Gutierrez. And I know you're here looking for me to tell you that Chris Gutierrez is going to win. That's what I'd want to hear if I was watching this shit. But I've got to go with Farid Basharat. I'll go with him winning by decision, but I will make the case for Chris Gutierrez like I do for every fighter. I always try to make the case for how he or she is going to win. But Farid Basharat, I think I can make the case that he's going to win by decision. And the basis for that prediction is he beat Taylor Lapulus by decision. The fuck else do you want from me? That guy's a pretty good striker outside, good hips, similar to Gutierrez in a way. Maybe not as leg kick heavy, but still. Farid Basharat, just like with Damon Blackshear and everyone else, he's able to corral him, corner him, and scoop him up, pick him down, and control him. And I've got him doing that here. I'd love to see Chris Gutierrez, this is where I'll make the case, Chris Gutierrez catch him with shit up the middle. I'd love to see him work his leg kicks. If he can get comfortable working the leg kicks on the outside, maybe he can do enough damage to compromise the wrestling of Farid Basharat. But he's going to have to scare him away from some shots with shit up the middle. I'm assuming he's going to be on the back foot. And you know what? His takedown defense is going to have to be really sharp. I think if he puts it all together, he can weaken Farid Basharat and get the better of him on the feet. But that's a big if, compounded with like three other ifs. Again, Farid Basharat, there's no major nor minor strike against him. He's looked really sharp, and I've got him looking really sharp here. I don't think he'll get a finish. I think he's going to have to grind this one out, but he's shown he can do that, and I think he's going to duplicate the success he had against Taylor Lapulus and Victor Hugo and Damon Blackshear and whoever else. And I've got him winning with takedowns. 3 takedowns for Farid Basharat, and he wins by decision. And as for betting on that, that's a no-go. Again, he is a very big favorite. He's minus 425. Gutierrez on the plus side is plus 330. The points, the over-under, it's set about right. 3-1 to go over 2.5 rounds. Yeah, in general, I'm sitting this one out, which means perhaps I'll be drunk and I'll go reaching for Chris Gutierrez by round 3, leg kick TKO. Next up, we have Edmund Shahbazyan versus Andre Muniz. And I really can't wait for the props and everything to come out for this one. My prediction for this one is Andre Muniz wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by round 2 submission. I think this is a very interesting matchup. These guys plug into each other's weaknesses very well here. and I'd be surprised if this fight went the distance. Stranger things have happened, but this one should be a finish, regardless of who wins. I'm going with Andre Muniz, and I'm going to go with him outlasting Edmund Shahbazyan, but that's a big if. I think Edmund Shahbazyan is much more dangerous than Muniz on the feet, and certainly early when they're both firing on all cylinders. Edmund's incredibly sharp, and Muniz is vulnerable. Just as I'd say Edmund is vulnerable consistently down the stretch, especially on the ground. Andre Muniz is vulnerable. He's really vulnerable throughout the whole fight, but certainly he's been caught cold in the majority of his losses. And I think Edmund Shahbazyan's primary path to victory is a round one knockout. And he just might get that. But Andre Muniz, I think he's a really capable athlete physically. He's definitely a match for Edmund. And I think Andre Muniz is 10 times the grappler that he is. And Edmund has historically lost to a combination of grappling and cardio by an incredible type of fight, incredible list of fighters. He lost to Jack Hermanson. He lost to Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He lost to Gerald Mearshart. That's as bad as it gets. Derek Brunson, Nasruddin Imavov. And Andre Muniz, you could say, is not in that class. But he's outside of everyone's class, far above everybody when it comes to submission prowess. Even Gerald Mearshart. Muniz is the guy who took Jacare's arm. And I have to say, I would favor him getting the submission in rounds 2 and 3, Andre Muniz. But of course, when he's firing on all cylinders in round 1, he's at his most dangerous. It's just down the stretch, I expect Shahbazyan to be at his most vulnerable. And I think Andre Muniz is a solid athlete. He's shown he can have these grimy 15-minute fights with Uriah Hall and Jun Young Park. He's been there before. And I think if he's there again, he's going to outlast Shahbazyan, put him on his back, and close the show. Andre Muniz is the pick. I've bet on Andre Muniz, but not with all my heart because, again, I think this is one where you wait for the props. I think submission is most likely for him, even though Shahbazyan's only been tapped once, and it was the Mearshart. He's been TKO'd on the ground, though. So maybe I'd look for the round props. I have to see what everything looks like. But for the Edmund Shahbazyan side of things, which I consider a hedge, I look for a TKO in the first half of the fight. I think that's his window to win. I know he's won grimy decisions over Darren Stewart, and there are anomalies on his record as well, sure. But I'd be very surprised if he won this fight and it was not a knockout in round 1, if not early in round 2. So yeah, I'll go with all the fucking horseshit when the props show up, and I'll certainly look for under 2.5 rounds. I can tell you, right now the line is set at 1.5 at minus 150. Fuck. Yeah, I do expect this one to be end in a finish, but I'm not looking to play 1.5. 2.5 would be my play. Yeah, Andre Muniz is the pick. Next up, we have Ozzy Diaz versus Ortega Abega Gautier. My prediction for this fight is Ortega Abega Gautier wins, and I'll go with him winning by knockout in round 1. Having said that, I'm only looking to bet on Ozzy Diaz. Ozzy Diaz is a 7-1 underdog. I've already bet on him, and I might waste more money on him when the props drop, because that's what we do here at MMA Al Dente. We waste fucking money that we win though. But yeah, Ortega Abega Gautier is the pick. There's too much upside with him, and Ozzy Diaz has 3 losses, and they're all by knockout. So I'm going with Ortega to get a big knockout or a TKO here. He's got 1 loss. It was a very close fight against this guy Glenn Williams 3 years ago. Split decision, could have gone either way, but he did slow down in that fight. But since then, he's done nothing but kick ass. He's only been able to showcase what you might call cardio on the Contender Series, getting a nice 9-minute second round TKO over Yura Naito, who was able to pin him largely in round 1. And I don't think Ozzy is going to be pinning Gautier. Ozzy, he's going to be looking to get his hands going, and he's definitely talented, but he's up against a real talent here in Gautier and a real physical fucking problem to begin with. I mean, physically, Gautier is a fucking monster. And I think he's going to be too big of a monster for Ozzy Diaz. And so far, his striking's been there for him. He got a nice win over Robert Valentin 2 months ago, where I believe Valentin was calling him on. Come on, come on. The ref was like, it's over. You got knocked out like 15 seconds ago. You don't remember? But yeah, he's dangerous, and I've got him closing the show against Ozzy Diaz. Maybe the round one TKO prop will be appealing to me, but I doubt it. His money line is set too far back for that to probably mean anything. And again, I'll just go reaching for Ozzy Diaz's round three TKO prop because I'm a fucking degenerate. Next up, we have Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov. My prediction here, I got to go with Joe Pyfer winning, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. I think Joe Pyfer hits harder. I think he's got the better chance of getting the knockout, first of all, which I'm somehow using that to explain my decision pick. But no, as for altogether, who's got more upside, I think Joe Pyfer wins the decision and the knockout, but I still think this is a close fight. Pyfer, I think, in general, is a little more trustworthy, maybe down the stretch in round three, but not as much. I mean, we saw his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum. That wasn't such a huge collapse like we've seen in some of Abus Magomedov's fights, where he let that fight slip away against Sean Strickland. He got overwhelmed in round two after a fast start. And against Kyle Bahayo, his other loss, definitely round three was a huge factor. He was dominated and hurt, and got beaten some nice body shots. And yeah, he was fatigued in that one. And he's 35 years old as well. But I still have doubt with Joe Pyfer. He doesn't have the most seasoning himself, and of course he's not too far removed. He's 2 fights removed from his decision loss to Jack Hermanson, which was a 5-round fight. But yeah, I still have to favor Joe to win the fight here. I think Joe is more likely to get the big first round knockout with his power. The guy hits like a fucking truck. I know he's got more grappling than meets the eye. And I think even though he didn't look great in round three against Kelvin Gastelum, and even though fatigue has cost him in the past against Jonathan Patti, his first loss 6 years ago, I trust him to, at the very least, hang on in round three, if not be the better man down the stretch. So altogether, Pyfer is the more trustworthy guy, and he is my pick. And also, Abus Magomedov was knocked out against Lewis Taylor in the PFL Championship 7, 8 years ago, whenever that was. But don't think I don't know that. 30 seconds, he got caught cold by a veteran. Really one of the greatest wins. That was fucking awesome. But yeah, whether that happens or this one goes the distance, I've got to favor Joe Pyfer. As much as I'm dying to pick a fucking underdog here. What the fuck? Next up, we have Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Zalal. And my prediction for this fight is, hold on, let me just see who the favorite is and who's the underdog. I'm going to go with the favorite, Yusuf Zalal. No, I'm kidding. I'm going with Zalal. I was picking him to win anyway. Yeah, I've got him winning by decision. He's just got a lot of upside. He's looked great as of late. Really talented guy, can mix it up everywhere. And Josh Emmett, he's a fucking tank, but I believe his best days are behind him at 40 years old. And even though he's an incredibly durable guy, and I see him surviving anything Yusuf has to offer, I'll talk about Josh's finish losses in a minute. I still think Josh is going to be a step and a half behind. I think his power shots are not going to be there for him. He's really going to have to time them, probably as counters, and really feint his way in and force movement to make shit happen against Zalal, who's very comfortable playing the matador. And I also think Yusuf Zalal is just quicker. He's quicker. I think he's the better grappler, the more reliable and willing grappler. And as tough as Josh Emmett is, I've got to put Yusuf Zalal up there with anybody as far as durability goes. I see this guy being really tough to get out of there, whether it's by knockout or submission. Both guys were able to survive Ilya Taporia, and that's a rare thing. But they're the two guys, perhaps maybe both of them are the only two guys to survive Ilya Taporia. But they're both tough as fuck. But Yusuf Zalal, in addition to being tough as fuck, he's healthy as fuck and young as fuck. Fuck. But Josh Emmett does have that equalizer power. We saw a year and a half, 2 years ago, him knock out Bryce Mitchell, one of the best knockouts ever. And that power was there for him when he was 38. I'm sure it's still there for him at 40 years old. But the speed and reflexes and all that are not. And we've seen that haunt him against Ilya Taporia, against Lerone Murphy, and in a rare finish loss against Yair Rodriguez. Those are 3 losses as of late. Yair got him out of there with a triangle choke. He's incredibly dangerous, and he did hurt and put some fear into Josh Emmett. And then on the ground, he got him out of there for the first time ever by submission with a triangle choke. His other finish loss was Jeremy Stevens smashing his fucking face apart with an elbow. Very forgivable. Could happen again, but I've got Josh Emmett, even at 40, being too tough to knock out. So yeah, Yusuf Zalal, he's my pick. He's minus 440. I don't love that. I would look to shave it down by playing the decision prop. Can't say that'll be worth it. Maybe I'll just get drunk and bet on Emmett by knockout. Next up, we have Jiri Prochazka taking on Khalil Roundtree. And my prediction for this fight is the underdog. Khalil Roundtree wins. I'm going with a fucking underdog. And I'm going with him winning by round 2 knockout. Of course, if this fight went the distance, I would favor Roundtree as well. I think he's the cleaner, more polished striker, and I think he wins the small moments, so to speak. But he's also pretty fucking dangerous, and both guys have been knocked out. And Jiri Prochazka, yeah, he doesn't have too many losses, but the majority of them are knockout, and I've got him getting knocked out here. I think all of them are knockouts. He lost to King Mo, he lost to Alex Pereira, and he lost to Bohan Levikovic. I don't even have it in front of me, but I know this shit. Yes. Oh, no, he does have a submission loss as well. Bohan did TKO him, but he also was submitted once in 2013. Okay, so it happened. But you know what? Pretty irrelevant here because Khalil Roundtree is not going to be hunting for submissions. He doesn't have one submission on his record, and I doubt he ever will unless it's submission due to soccer kicks to the body or something. But yeah, Roundtree, he's definitely the sharper striker, the more technical guy, and I think he gets the better of the small moments. I think Jiri's going to be trying to turn this fight into a brawl, and of course, Jiri stands to do better in a brawl, but he's still got to put his chin on the line. And Roundtree's incredibly dangerous. He's in his prime, looking incredible in the last few years. His only loss being a round 4 TKO to Pereira, which, yeah, Jiri Prochazka's only losses as of later to Pereira as well. So I don't want to just point that out and hang my hat on it. But I do favor Khalil Roundtree here. He's been knocked out a few times himself. Of course, Pereira. But before that, he was knocked out cold against Johnny Walker. Caught him with some beautiful sharp elbows in the clinch and knocked him dead. And he got smashed on the ground with some elbows against Iwan Kutalaba, who's a fucking psychopath. And here I think Khalil Roundtree is going to get a stand-up fight. I think he's going to fare well in it. I thought he was faring pretty well against Alex Pereira until round 4. This one's only 3 rounds. He's fighting a more vulnerable guy than Pereira in Jiri Prochazka, and I've got him closing the show with a knockout. On the flip side, Jiri Prochazka's primary path to victory is knockout, and I'd be surprised if he won by anything else, even though he did strangle Glover Teixeira somehow in the 25th minute of a grueling fight, one of the best fights of all time. But yeah, Roundtree is my pick. I'm riding with him. I think he's looked great as of late. I've played his money line, I've played his knockout line, and I've played the under altogether because that, of course, is easiest to be confident in. with both these dangerous fucking monsters. And in the co-main event of the evening, we have Merab Dvalishvili taking on Corey Sandhagen. My prediction here is Merab Dvalishvili wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. Now, back to decision with Merab. He got a beautiful finish over Sean O'Malley, but I think here his best chance at winning is grinding Corey Sandhagen. Corey is really dangerous, much like Sean O'Malley. He's dangerous on the feet. Uh, but Corey Sandhagen is equally as dangerous on the ground, whereas Sean O'Malley is not. Corey Sandhagen is a problem on the ground. And frankly, his submission line is way the fuck off. 28-1 for him to win by submission. And for rounds 1 and 2, it's 7,000 and 10,000. Yeah, I'm going to put a few sprinkles on those. I already have. And it's not because Corey is Mr. Submission Artist. He doesn't always fight like one. But it's because here, I think, especially considering Merab and considering Corey Sandhagen's recent work and him training with Uriah Hall, I think he might consider one of his best paths to victory to attack the legs. You all know what's happened in the jiu-jitsu realm in the last 10 years or so. And Corey Sandhagen, he's definitely studying that 50-50 position. He got a nice win over Davison Figueiredo, popping his knee. And I've heard him talk about it, and he's really comfortable there. And I think, it's not such a likely outcome in any fight, really. But here against Merab, you got to look at him and go, how the fuck do I get this done? And I think he might be looking for that. So, yeah, those are props I go reaching for. But Merab Dvalishvili by decision is the most trustworthy prop. Corey Sandhagen, I think, is going to be tough to get out of there. So if you want to include all of Corey's upside, every finish and every possible victory for him, but also a decision loss, him at plus points I like as well. Him at plus points at plus 13 and a half points, you can get at minus 220. That's something I'm very confident in, although bear in mind, I put my life savings on the line for Sean O'Malley at the same play. It might have been the same fucking price as well. But it was, plus 13 and a half points because Merab can't finish him, right? We know that. That's the starting point. And then it's all about can he utilize the jab or whatever. Nah, he got north-south choked or whatever the fuck happened in round 3. And Merab, his skills are sharpening. I mean, one thing you could tell just from looking at the guy, watching him fight, he works hard. And I'm sure he's working hard in every direction, in every discipline. So maybe there's more finishing upside that I'm giving him credit for here. But Corey Sandhagen, somewhat ironically, has only been finished by Merab Dvalishvili's best friend and teammate, Aljamain Sterling. And even though those guys are best friends and teammates and they fucking, they're, sharing every lesson together, they're still radically different fighters on the ground. Aljamain Sterling is much more of a grappler, submission grappler, and of course he secured hooks and strangled Corey. Merab Dvalishvili, I think he can grab a neck and go for it. He's got good guillotines and any type of choke where he can put his little weight and his body into that. He can, he's dangerous, but he's not the most refined jiu-jitsu guy. And I think Corey's better than him. And on the feet, Corey Sandhagen's better than Merab. Merab's striking is definitely a problem, only because his wrestling is such a big problem. But Merab hits hard, and he knows he's got some freedom there, and he takes advantage of it. He can bully you around just by having his wrestling in the back pocket. And he will look to take advantage. But I think Corey Sandhagen is still altogether sharper, where if these two are fighting for 25 minutes on the feet, Corey Sandhagen wins the decision, and I certainly favor Corey to get the knockout as well. I think it would take a super move or a special move where you have to fucking rack up enough points in the video game to even be able to do it. But I think he's got special moves and shit. We've seen it, spinning fucking whatever kicks over Marlon Moraes and flying knees over my fucking hero, you son of a bitch. But I think Corey Sandhagen knows, hey, I've got I've got to finish this guy, or maybe he can win a decision. Sean O'Malley nearly won a decision against Merab. Was a really close fight, their first fight, but still, you'd be an idiot if you favor anybody to walk away with a decision over Merab Dvalishvili. He's got wrestling on his side, he's got cardio on his side, and he's got a bunch of great fucking traits. He's got losses, but he's progressed with each loss. He was out wrestled the first time, out grappled against Ricky Bandejas. Then he was submitted technically in the 16th minute of a 15-minute fight against Ricky Simone, and he was robbed against Frankie Saenz. But the Merab we've seen destroy and dominate, really is the better word, every contender and champion in the last fucking 5 years. That's a guy I cannot pick against. And the Umar Nurmagomedov fight was really close. I know Umar is capable of beating him, and I thought Umar's fight with Corey was deceptively close. Although Umar won that pretty comfortably, I guess. But here, yeah, I've got Merab being a step ahead and winning on points. And in the main event of the evening, we have Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev, challenging him for the light heavyweight title. My prediction here is Ankalaev wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. I favor Ankalaev because, first of all, if wrestling is a factor, if there is wrestling here, I expect it to be from Ankalaev, and I do expect him to control Pereira. I know Pereira is a big, strong fucking dude, but I think Magomed Ankalaev, while he may not be great on the ground, certainly not in a submission grappling sense, but he's still strong enough to hold Pereira there. And even without that, on the feet, I know Pereira is going to be looking to make adjustments, but I have to look to their first fight and say, yeah, that was largely fought on the feet. I think Pereira landed the only takedown technically with a trip, but Ankalaev on the feet was a problem for Pereira. He was able to stand up to the danger, first of all. And by danger, I don't just mean the left hook, I mean the fucking low kicks. And that was the big concern going into that first fight after Ankalaev's draw against Jan Blachowicz, where Jan Blachowicz really chopped his legs down. But also, Ankalaev was largely able to bully Pereira, I thought. Walk him down for good portions of the fight and just be the faster guy. And he got in Pereira's face. And in general, I think Ankalaev's a little healthier. He's in his early to mid 30s. Pereira keeps inching closer to 40. And he's gained a few inches as of late. And of course, between the two, Pereira's also the one guy who's been knocked out. Got knocked unconscious against Israel Adesanya and almost got knocked out in their first fight as well, their first UFC fight, eating some big shots. But I think without the knockout, Ankalaev still wins the decision. I don't think Pereira is going to be able to walk down Ankalaev comfortably. I think he's going to be still trying to set traps for leg kicks. I think Ankalaev's going to be the one coming in and being the more of the aggressor with his hands. And I think he showed he's got a bunch of great traits and some really good striking. He was able to match Pereira and exceed him, in my opinion, in their first fight. So whether it's striking or striking and grappling, I do favor Magomed Ankalaev to win the small moments against Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, he's still the more dangerous guy. I've never seen Ankalaev knocked out, but I don't need to know that Pereira can knock him unconscious. And I didn't need to have seen him compromised by leg kicks to know that Pereira can compromise him with leg kicks. Again, Jan Blachowicz had him badly hurt. But Pereira, if he has him badly hurt, he's going to close the show if he was in that spot that Jan was in. Not that Jan isn't a fucking world-class fighter. Ankalaev, may as well mention his only loss. It's by submission, a Hail Mary at the last second to Paul Craig, a triangle choke. That's not something that should happen from Alex Pereira. He's got some good guillotines and tricks up his sleeve. But in general, Ankalaev has to worry about being finished here. And as for me, I would typically rely on that fact. Pereira's only path to victory is a finish, and you can play his whole side of the fence by covering knockout. But we saw in the last fight, he's definitely in the realm of winning a decision, Alex Pereira. First of all, we don't know what Magomed Ankalaev looks like when he loses too much. Again, just the one submission comeback. But he's still got an excellent chin, and he's shown a bunch of great traits in every victory. And I think there's no telling how his first or his next loss would look like. But Pereira proved in the last fight he's definitely in the realm of winning by decision. So I wouldn't be looking to play anything or commit to anything on the Alex Pereira side, even though, yes, knockout is always more likely. But Magomed Ankalaev, he's ferocious on the feet. And considering Pereira's age and overall health, a recent knockout, somewhat recent. It's actually getting to be pretty fucking distant. But with every bit of distance, it's compounded with more age. Just shittiness going in the other direction. And I think Alex Pereira is in worse shape physically and health wise. And Ankalaev, he's dangerous enough where, he can definitely knock out Alex Pereira. I'm not saying I'd give him the first knockout between the two, because again, Alex Pereira, fucking Poetan himself, but it would not surprise me at all. I favor decision, though. I would be, like I said, Pereira can win a decision, but I strongly favor Ankalaev. And that's just talking striking, but certainly if you include takedowns, which are a thing. And that's why I like Magomed Ankalaev. I played his money line, but I also played his point spread. Minus 5.5 points at minus 110. Covers the knockout and the decision, of course. Wide enough decision at better odds. But Ankalaev is the play, and Ankalaev is the pick. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.